Howdy, my spongy beautiful humans. I'm RidersDX, and today we're going to be talking about the Cosmic Shake. I'm still trying to figure out what my personal Cosmic Shake is. Maybe a little bit of Jello Wave, or the Electric Shock, or the Woodpecker. But enough about me enjoying So You Think You Can Dance. Let's take a look at the Cosmic Shake stuff that we got to see this week at GamesCom. So GamesCom lasted for like almost a week, and not only did we get a full-on review of gameplay for the very first time, uncut gameplay, no bullshit like edits and things like that, but now we've also got a half-hour interview from Martin Kruge and Andreas, two people working on the Cosmic Shake, to dive into as well. So I've got almost 40 bullet points for this video, so let's go ahead and go do all the crap. And there's even a little hint as to what could be coming next after the Cosmic Shake, so stay tuned to the end of the video if you want to hear a little bit more about that. These first 6 bullet points are going to come from the very first gameplay footage we got for this game. This came courtesy of THQ Nordic's live stream. So the very first thing we get to see at this footage is a control scheme here, and so looks like you got things like ground pound that is moved to the left trigger, Y is now the interact button, dodge is B, that like cartwheel thing that Spongebob does now. You also can shoot out the bubbles with RB. RT is apparently swing. We have not seen the swing mechanic yet, so not really sure what to say about that yet, but I imagine that's something that we'll see eventually, since this was a gameplay mechanic apparently in the demo. So I don't know, maybe there's some footage out there that actually showcase the swing. If there is, then let me know in the comment section below, because I could not find it at the time of recording this video. At number 2, we get to know what one of the main objectives of the Wild West Jellyfish Fields are, which is to milk a bunch of cactus juice for this familiar looking guy, i.e. our confirmation that Clancy Brown is actually going to be in this game. At number 3, you can see over here that the gliding mechanic has a stamina bar, so you can't just glide nilly-willy all the time, which might not be like the most exciting news, but hey, they don't want anything to be exploited in this game, so that's probably why they did that. I mean, even Sandy's gliding in Battle for Bikini Bottom was limited, it just didn't have a stamina bar, so at least we know exactly how much we have to glide with. At number 4, you can actually see a flower icon in the distance over here, and so this flower icon actually will lead you to where the level wants you to go next. So if you ever get lost, then you can just kind of follow that icon to get to your next objective and just kind of keep going with the level from there. At number 5, not only have we seen that Spongebob gets like a shadow whenever you jump from previous footage, but also the projectiles in this tartar sauce like enemy also has shadows to show you where it's going to be falling so that you can avoid it as best you can. At number 6, you can see that there's bubble wand icons over these enemies that pop in every now and then. So these icons represent the enemies that you can shoot your bubble at, and so that way you're not just going to be shooting nilly-willy, just hoping you'll get the enemy. The game actually tells you if you're going to hit that enemy or not. At number 7, we're moving on to IGN's 13-minute gameplay here. This does not have the HUD, but it does give us like an actual in-depth listen to the audio of the game and also the sounds that everyone's making and such, so definitely a lot of interesting information here. For example, at number 7, you can see that you're collecting a bunch of pink orbs here, and this is apparently cosmic jelly, as Spongebob confirms later on in the footage.
Ooh, more jelly!
Number 8, this is just a little geeky thing that I noticed. I really don't think anyone else cares about this, but I noticed that SpongeBob's sound effects whenever he jumps are different from what they were in Rehydrated, just because Battle for Bikini Bottom's like jump effects are so iconic to me for some reason, so the fact they changed it is very interesting. At number 9, Spongebob will occasionally yelp various lines referencing episodes, like his new rendition of the Krusty Krab pizza over here.
The Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me.
So it's going to be really cool to hear those things throughout the game. At number 10, there are portions in the level where you're trapped in a space and you must defeat all the enemies to progress. So this is pretty similar to things in Battle for Bikini Bottom, except this game actually traps you in the space, so you can't go anywhere. You have to defeat the enemies there. At number 11, activating these switches in this level seems to be giving you ways to return back to where you were in case you fall off, which indicates this level isn't the most linear level and goes in many directions. So it's very easy to fall off and like kind of lose your spot in the level, so it gives you these various ways to kind of get back to where you're supposed to get to. Number 12, you recall my last analysis video. I was wondering if there was a tiptoe mechanic to cross these beams. There doesn't seem to be one here, however. Like, I've watched many people go across this section, they all just walk very lightly on it, so that's interesting. Hopefully there's a tiptoe mechanic that comes in, because I think that could be really annoying. At number 13, you can spot a wanted poster here with Mr. Krabs' picture on it, so I guess the familiar looking guy is not the nicest guy, apparently. Number 14, this is one of the most interesting things I found about this footage, but you can hear the music suddenly pick up intensity over here, indicating that the game does have dynamic music. which is really cool to hear because I don't think any SpongeBob game has had that before. I think every SpongeBob game has just had a flat like piece of music that plays throughout the entire level. But this game is going to have music that changes depending on where you are, which is really cool. At number 15, we see the appetizer here, and it seems that every time you land a hit on them, they release some sort of explosion you need to avoid, or something that like pushes you out. So you can't just consecutively hit them to take them out. So they're a little bit more challenging to take out than the Duplicatotron. But at least they don't actually explode at the very end and cause you damage, so that's good. At number 16, so we do know that you can ride Mystery here as one of the mechanics here, but it appears that you can accelerate while riding Mystery, as you notice SpongeBob going faster, and then there's this like white effect that goes across the screen, which is very similar to back in Rehydrated when you were on a slide, and that white effect would come to play whenever you would start sliding. So there you go. At number 17, it looks like another mechanic in this game is using your bubbles to inflate these rafts to get across the world, so that's another way to use that bubble wand. It's gonna be really interesting to see what else they utilize for. At number 18, the music transforms again, and this time it's into some like Uncharted like symphonic track, and I'm just like really bopping to it as I'm editing this video, like it's absolutely amazing. At number 19, when SpongeBob dies, Patrick actually rescues him and brings him back to a spot very close to where he was. So that's a really cool mechanic, definitely can save you in a bunch of different tough spots. But at number 20, there's also checkpoints that make a return. So it's very interesting because you have both Patrick rescuing you and bringing you back to a nearby spot, and also these checkpoints. So it's like, why do you need checkpoints if Patrick's just going to be doing that? Unless the Patrick thing works a little bit differently. So we'll just have to wait and see. At number 21, you can see on the right that the question mark signs do make a return. So those are things that you can go to just to kind of like get some hints on what to do and such. So it's really cool to see those make a return. Number 22, you hadn't already noticed, those big pufferfish from Jellyfish Fields make a big return here as a hazard in the most explosive way possible, as they're literally just being tossed from the air to try and knock you off of the waterfall. And so they look so deadly over here. It's crazy just watching it. At number 23, at the very end of this gameplay footage, when SpongeBob is inserting the cactus juice into the last barrel, he actually falls down, and I think this transitions into that scene in the trailer where SpongeBob can be seen riding Mystery as he rides by Mr. Krabs conducting the train. So I'm guessing that that's Mr. Krabs just making his great escape after he got all that cactus juice. The things are starting to get pieced together basically as we see more and more footage. We are going to move on to the interview portion of this video now, and so you're not only going to see the bullet points that I listed here with the interview questions, but you're also actually going to get snippets of the interview itself, just so you know I'm not talking bullshit. So be prepared because there's a lot of big Bonds and Martin and Andreas review over here, so it's going to be really exciting to check out. Number 24, the first thing I want to mention is that a release date may be coming in the next few weeks, according to Martin Kruge, so that's exciting.
We can unfortunately not yet tell you an exact release date, but you don't have to wait much longer. In the coming weeks, we'll slowly unveil the secret of when it will actually come out.
Number 25, there are multiple languages that will be in this game fully voiced, just like in Rehydrated. So they mentioned things like German and Japanese, so that's gonna be really great to like have those languages in this game as well, and just kind of hear the voice cast give their own takes on SpongeBob and crew here.
For us, what was the most important thing when we started working on the Cosmic Shake, and while working on the Cosmic Shake, was definitely bringing the fan service to the people, giving them the experience that they're looking for when playing a SpongeBob game. What is fun, having the references to the episodes from the original series, having the original voice cast. It's a very big thing that we actually also have in the game. So the current cast has voiced the whole game in English, German, we got Spanish, we got Polish, Japanese is in there.
Awesome.
A couple more languages will be fully voiced.
Number 26, this is a really cool bullet point, but both prehistoric SpongeBob and SpongeGar will be costumes in the games.
A favorite costume?
I have a couple of them. Like there is, I love prehistoric Sponge.
Yeah.
Like we're both big fans of the prehistoric episodes. That like there's a level prehistoric kelp forest in the game, which is also both of basically our favorite level. And there you can run around either as SpongeGar or as prehistoric Sponge. So never confuse them.
So for those of you who don't know, prehistoric SpongeBob comes from the season 1 episode SP129 when Squidward goes back in time and meets prehistoric SpongeBob and Patrick. However, SpongeGar comes from a prehistoric episode that comes later on the show's lifetime, where SpongeGar, Patar, and Squad are just hanging around together in the prehistoric times, and I guess they're just completely different iterations of the characters. At number 27, because Martin Kruge is such a big fan of Flying Dutchman, he reveals that there's going to be a Flying Dutchman skin in this game, so that's going to be really exciting.
There's one one costume that I personally very much like is where you can run around as SpongeBob looking like the Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman.
Oh,
because
really?
the Flying Dutchman is my ultimate favorite character.
At number 28, he also reveals that SpongeBob's Squidward impression from Opposite Day, the episode, will also be in this game. So
Most of the kind of costumes are taken directly from the series.
Yeah.
You know, like the Opposite Day or stuff like this. And then other costumes are unique to the game.
I really hope that there's like voice clips of it as well, because SpongeBob's Squidward impression is like iconic. So would love to hear that as well. A nice little bonus would be to throw in Patrick's Squidward costume as well, because I would love to hear Patrick just shout, "I'm Squidward and Squidward, 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 Squidward," like constantly throughout the game. Like, come on, that's top tier game design right there. And number 29, you can play all the levels with any of the costumes. And so we kind of knew this already, but now we got actual confirmation from Martin Crouch here saying that you can go into any level with any costume. So that's gonna be really, really awesome to try out. And
These kind of also, you know, you get a costume that kind of fits that place. For you get the Wild West costume, then you can go to Wild West jellyfish fields. But we didn't want to limit players because we know, as a, some children want to run around as a pirate in the Wild West. That's just your thing. And so you can then switch the costume, but they unlock the different levels, and then you can play through them.
number 30, though they mentioned that this game is going to have a much more linear story-driven structure, looks like abilities you learn further on in the game can be brought back to older levels to discover hidden secrets, much like in a movie game. And so one thing that they mentioned is that when you learn how to ride mystery, you can bring mystery into other levels, basically, and maybe find some hidden secrets that way that you couldn't reach without mystery. So that's going to be a really great way to go back to the game and encourage like replayability, something that I really enjoyed from like Battle for Bikini Bottom and a movie game.
Whenever you finish the world, you can go back later when you've earned more skills, and then do like revisiting quests, do a little bit more challenges here. Like if you've learned to ride the seahorse, you can go back to an earlier level and ride the seahorse there.
So you need to backtrack in order to fully play everything out of the levels.
If you really want to collect all the costumes, want to see all the things that are there in the game, then you have to go and revisit all the levels.
Okay.
If you don't, you can just focus on the story.
Number 31, one of the most exciting things to come out of this interview is that the original composers of Battle for Bikini Bottom are back making the music in this game. And so it's absolutely no surprise to me that I love the Wild West Jellyfish Fields track, because that was just amazing. It feels like it's a direct like successor from Battle for Bikini Bottom, except even bigger and better than it could have ever been back then. So I'm really excited.
Loving the music. I think that's a good thing to kind of by Mr. Ohydro.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Ohydro. Basically, the music was written, like we have the score of the actual game, which was written by Hacienda Post, who are the guys behind also the score of Battle for Bikini Bottom. So this score was very much loved by people of the fans, and we said like, so we want to approach the same composers to do a completely new score, and they made these themed music for every world, so that every world has like the Wild West level has this kind of distinct Mel Brooksian kind of a Wild West sound to it.
And number 32, they also talk about how like the tracks from the actual show will be implemented into this game, and so a lot of it will just be like music that you can hear at certain parts of these levels. Like Martin Crouch mentions how the Wild West Jellyfish Fields level will have some of these tracks implemented into it.
Also brought in a lot of tracks from the actual series.
Some fan favorites to me.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, as you walk around the world, if you approach the saloon, you'll hear the saloon music that you know from the Wild West episode and stuff like that.
Number 33, also Martin Crouch low-key confirmed that the 6th world of the game, which is Pirate Goo Lagoon, like that sounds like a majorly fun concept. I cannot wait to see that.
So if you walk around the Pirates level, so that's Pirate Goo Lagoon.
At number 34, Patrick also has a hand in helping you quite a bit in this game beyond what I mentioned. So take a look at what Andreas says about Patrick here.
Also add here for Patrick himself, it's not only the bantering that you have, he also has a function. He is also a feature. He's helping you. So for example, if you drop down something from a ledge, Patrick will be the one that brings you back up. If you're low on health, Patrick will come in, drop some pants for you so that it can add up more health. So he's always there. He's your buddy that actually
brings
supports
you new
you.
underpants.
I need a
which
Patrick
is,
in my life.
a best friend should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need my own Patrick.
And we
Patrick
all
in
need
real
people
life.
that bring us underpants.
Number 35. So the reason that familiar looking guy Mr. Krabs doesn't really recognize you as SpongeBob is because there will be multiple versions of characters in this game. And so there will be the character that you know and love that is like stuck in this limbo that SpongeBob and Patrick have created, but there will also be characters that are tied to the specific worlds that are created and will not know SpongeBob and Patrick in that way.
There's two versions of them. So you either have the real Squidward who got kind of torn into the prehistoric level and you need to save him, or you've got the actual medieval Squidward that doesn't know SpongeBob. Like, you meet him in the medieval world and he thinks he is a medieval character, and he reacts as if he's from that world.
At number 36, they mentioned that each world have its own encapsulated story, and so take a listen as the developers talk about some of the various storylines that you get to encounter while playing the Cosmic Shake.
And just like with Rehydrated, because that's something I think that worked very well for that game, for this very, very beloved game, is that each level has kind of its own little story. So you have this overarching story of SpongeBob and Patrick wanting to repair Bikini Bottom after they destroyed it. But each level has its own little micro story. So you go to the karate downtown Bikini Bottom level, and there it's about a kind of Wish World Squidward who doesn't know SpongeBob, but he's doing this karate movie. Like, he's doing a low-budget karate movie, and he's this auteur. He wants to have this perfect movie, and then you have this themed kind of world that is all about SpongeBob being the hero in a fictional karate movie. And so, like this, every world has its own little story, and that was again for us important to kind of reflect the episodic nature of the series itself, but also just give us a lot of freedom to have fun.
At number 37, and absolutely no surprise whatsoever, apparently the Flying Dutchman will play a huge role in Pirate Goo Lagoon. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Flying Dutchman does there that he does not do in Halloween Rock Bottom.
Can you say that?
He plays a big role in the Pirates Goo Lagoon, of course.
Oh, of course,
yes. And in Halloween, in Halloween Rock Bottom, he also appears here and there. So yeah, he appears where it makes sense, where you think like, well, obviously the Flying Dutchman will be here.
Awesome.
Flying Dutchman.
So we can.
And the last bullet point is saved for last over here because I think it's like one of the most potentially exciting things about this interview. But there's already talk of like an expansion or even a sequel after the Cosmic Shake, depending on how this game does. And so take a listen as to what the developers are talking about here.
There have been some ideas, but we won't tell them because potentially we might still get the chance to use them.
Yeah. We obviously hope that the Cosmic Shake will kind of release to the same kind of flood of love that we got for Bikini Bottom and Rehydrated. We know it's large, kind of, what do you say, footsteps to fill. But we think it's a very worthy successor. It's a little bit different than Rehydrated. We wanted it to have its own identity, but I think it's just like Rehydrated gave you just like this, SpongeBob front and center. I think we've nailed that again with Cosmic Shake, that it's the SpongeBobiest experience you'll get out there, and I hope people will love it as much as Rehydrated. The crew, both the speedrunning community and the normal fans, like everybody's been so supportive. The first game came out right in the middle of the pandemic, which was of course, or in the start of the pandemic, which was a big challenge for the team, big challenge for us. And then it was, rehydrating, it was reinvigorating to see like people say like, finally in this kind of, don't give me zombie apocalypses all the time. Give me something funny, something uplifting, and that kind of lifted us up as well. And we just hope that we are able to achieve the same thing with Cosmic Shake again. And then if the success kind of merits it and if it resonates well, that hopefully we can continue this journey and continue pretending it's work if we watch SpongeBob.
And that is everything I have for this video. And so lots of details that we learned about this game, lots of different interesting discussion points I want to make videos on in the future. So let me know what you're most excited about in the comment section below. Let me know what really excites you about this game. The more I look at this game, the more excited I get for it. Like, it honestly just looks like a dream come true for me. I love SpongeBob Alpha Keep On. I love the movie game. I even love Creature from the Krusty Krab and Trooper Square and even Atlanta Square Pandas to an extent. Love the Revenge of Flying Dutchman. There's just so many SpongeBob platformers I loved as a child. And to get a spanking brand new one as an adult is really, really exciting. I feel like I'm 12 years old again. So, thank you to Purple Lamp for doing that, because this is really exciting and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. It honestly looks really solid. It looks like a step up from Rehydrated, and I'm just really curious to see what Purple Lamp does. There are definitely some things about this game that I'm not as excited about, like for example SpongeBob being the only playable character, but I'll talk about those things as we get closer to the game's release, and hopefully these concerns will be remedied by like even better game design once the game actually comes out and such. So yeah. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want to keep up to date with more Cosmic Shake news and discussions, and just, thank you all so much. This is Riders, riding out.